back to today's speaker. Christian Froschmeir is a 25-year-old student in agricultural science. Apart from university, he is working at his own organic farm close to a town called Ingolstadt in Bavaria. He loves the work together with nature and animals, and therefore his aim is an increasing amount of organic food and agriculture, because he is convinced that that can contribute to a better life. And having said that, we're happy to now hand over the word to Christian, who will tell you some stories from the field and introduce you to the topic of ecological farming in Germany in theory and practice. So with a warm applause, I will now hand over the word to Christian.
Okay, thank you, Chrissy. Okay, I try to share my screen now. Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for this nice introduction. I'd like to introduce myself again. As Chrissy already said, I'm 25 years old. I am born in Ingolstadt, it's a city, but in the city we have our organic farm, which my father already worked there. After my grammar school, I did a dual agriculture studies. So this means that I started working at several farms. The first farm was an organic farm, but I also wanted to have a look on conventional farms. So I worked at a conventional arable farm and also a dairy farm. So my aim was that I have a very wide view over the whole agriculture we have in Germany. And after the first year of working, the studies started parallel to the work. And right now I'm in the master studies. It's called Agrosystem Wissenschaften. Yeah, where I have more content about the whole system of agriculture, also the ecological side and energy side. And yeah, I think it's a very wide field where I can still learn a lot, and yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, to the presentation. First, I'd talk about the theory of the organic farming in Germany. I will talk about the legal background. The main points I see in organic farming, what are the main differences between conventional and organic farming. And after this, I will take you to my farm and to my fields, and I will show you my crop rotation, what I'm doing there, how I care about the crops and the animals. Brief overview. Oh, sorry. Just want to have a pointer. Oh, yeah. The organic farming is regulated in the EU mainly. So we have a EU eco-regulation, which is the bottom of the whole organic farming in the EU. And on top of this, we have national associations. In Germany, you may know Demeter, Bioland, and Naturland. These are the largest associations we have here. Naturland is also an international association, so maybe you also know it from your country. And the main issues of organic farming, so which is written down in the EU eco-regulation. In the EU, we have to have an area-based animal husbandry. So this means when I have animals, I must have enough area where I grow my crops to feed the animals. This is difference in conventional farming. There can be also farms where we only have animals and no area. So the area feeds the animals, and also the manure from the animals goes back to this area. So we try to have a cycle. Another big point is that we are not allowed to use genetically modified plants. And as you may know, the two other big points are that we don't use synthetic chemical plant protection. Yeah, there are only some special crops where we use, for example, copper, but this is, yeah, maybe there are not that dangerous things like other synthetic chemicals. And the second point is the very limited use of easily soluble mineral fertilizers. So it's not like many people think we are not allowed to use any fertilizers. This is not true. We are not allowed to use like mineral nitrogen fertilizers, but there are, for example, other fertilizers we are also allowed to put on the field, because otherwise, yeah, maybe thick crops wouldn't grow as good, because there are always parts of the cycle where we, yeah, where nitrogen or other things go out of the cycle. There are some brand marks of organic crop production. In general, I can say that in organic farming we have more diverse crop rotation than in conventional farming. This means that there are more crops yeah, grown on the field until you start with the same crop again. Then, as I already mentioned, we always try to think in the cycles. So it's important to have, for example, animals, or yeah, biogas plants would be also like something like an animal, where we have manure which goes back to the fields where the crops grow. So we try to have a very close cycle. Of course, it's not always possible, because we produce food and the food goes out of it, and we should put the manure from the humans actually back on the fields, but right now it's not possible yet. Yeah, another big point is that we try to promote our soil fertility and the soil life, because we are very dependent of the soil. We don't have any products where we can regulate something afterwards. Yeah, that's why we have a very special look on the soil fertility. That doesn't mean that conventional farmers don't have a look on it, but we are very yeah, dependent of the soil fertility. Another point is the organic fertilization. So we don't have any mineral nitrogen fertilizers. So we have the manure, different manure we use. I will show you some pictures later. And another point is the mechanical weed control. Weed control is very important. In conventional farming, we have yes, the plant protection where we spray any chemicals on them. But in organic farming, we have to do that mechanical, and afterwards I will show you some pictures how I do it. And it's always a struggle, but yeah, I try to do my best. Yeah, the animal husbandry is a second part of the organic farming, which is quite important. The main differences to the conventional farming, we offer the animals more space in the stable and also outside, so they have fresh air. And this is a main difference. So in organic farming, each animal has to have the contact with the outside climate. And in conventional farming, there can be stables where the animals don't have contact with the fresh air from outside. Now, our point is that we have to feed our animals organic as well. Adapted breeds, that means that, for example, chicken breeds don't grow as fast as the conventional breeds. And because of these aspects, we usually have healthier animals. So this means that we also have less use of medicine for the animals. So the use is also lower. Yeah, but now I want to come to the practical part from my farm. And to have more interaction with you, I would ask you if you know some of these crops which are shown here. Anyone ideas?
I see corn on the upper right corner.
Very good. This is corn. Maybe the easiest one. Maybe.
Maybe a carrot.
Wheat is there as well. Wheat.
Yeah, wheat.
Yeah, I think so. This one.
Yes.
Now, rye, below it is rye. If,
Yeah, here, this is rye. Yeah. And here we have spelt wheat. This is very common to the wheat up.
And is that hemp?
Yeah, very good. It's hemp. We also grow hemp at our farm. This is also a very important crop, global important crop.
Mint? No.
No, these are soybeans.
Okay.
And here it's a very small carrot. And yeah, maybe you know this one. It's more common in south of Germany, maybe. These are sugar beets, where the sugar is made of. Yeah, and only this one is missing. This is the most important crop in organic farming, I would say so.
I think in German it would be clear, right?
Yes, it's clover. It's a mixture of clover and grass. And it's always on the first position of a crop rotation because the clover is able to take the nitrogen from the air, so it doesn't need any fertilizers. And this is very important because when you harvest the clover and give it, for example, to a dairy farm or cows, you can use this manure. So the nitrogen is in the manure, and you can use the manure for fertilizing, for example, the wheat or the maize, which needs it. And the second aspect of the clover grass is that it makes the soil very fertile, and there aren't that many weeds on the field afterwards because you cut it several times in the year, and so you can also reduce the weeds on the field. Yeah, and this could be a possible crop rotation. So on the second part, the wheat, it needs quite a lot fertilizers or good soil. Afterwards, sugar beets. Yeah, as you can see, we try to have a good mixture and a change of things like the wheat and the rye and the spelt wheat with other crops like which has other leaves. So it's because there are some illnesses which are at the wheat, at the rye, and at the spelt wheat. And if we change the crops, we can stop the bridge from the illness to the second crop. Okay, yeah. Now I will show you some pictures of the mechanical weeding, as I mentioned before. This is a machine where we mix the soil after the harvest, and we are able to cut the weeds in the summer. So before we grow the new crop, we do the mechanical weeding with this machine maybe 2 times in the summer, and it cuts the weeds several times, so we don't have as many weeds as in the summer later in our crop. Then here's another machine. It's called a harrow. So here we have lots of little metal things where we comb up in the spaltweed here, for example. And the very small little weeds are pulled out of the field, and the weed or the spaltweed is stronger than the little weeds, and it stays on the ground, and the others are cobbed out. We do this usually in spring in all of our cereals we have. Here we have combined mechanical weeding. In the middle, we have this chopper where I have to drive very carefully because we don't want to hurt the little soybeans here. And after this, there's again this harrow, which has the same function as on the picture before. Here you can see it again from another perspective. So here the row of soybeans goes in between of the chopper, and the area between the rows is weeded, mechanical weeded. And this is another part of organic farming. These are the sugar beets in the spring when they are very, very small. And as you saw before, I only can drive with a chopper in between of the rows, but in between of the little sugar plants, we also have to do the mechanical weeding by hand. This is quite expensive, and this is also a reason why not every organic farm does things like the sugar beets or the carrots, because here we need also workers who help us to destroy the weeds in between of these little plants. Because the fields of sugar beets must be very clean so that they grow very good. And now I have a video for you. This is the last possibility to protect the plants. Doesn't work. Or I need the pointer. Yeah. Now it should work. Okay, this was a video in the carrots. The weeds which are higher than as the carrots are cut with this machinery. Usually the hand weeding should be good enough so that they don't need this machine. But here, as you can see, some weeds maybe were hidden when we did the hand weeding, so we needed to have this machine. Okay, now I come to the fertilization. Does anyone know which black material this is here on this machinery? Any idea? Yeah, Muhammad, you have your microphone on. Okay, in the chat maybe. Soil. No, it's not soil, but it's important for the soil fertility. It's compost. We use it in the summer to have a fertile soil. It's not that nitrogen fertilizer as other manures, for example, but it's very important for the structure of the soil, for example, so that the roots of the crops can go deep. Ah, yeah, now I'm at organic compost. Yeah, very good. Yeah, another aspect of organic farming is that we have intercrops. So this means after the harvest of the crop, we grow other crops, but we don't harvest them. They are like a green fertilizer. So in autumn, we turn them in the soil, and it's very good for the little animals, the rainworms in the soil. So they have food, and this is also good for the soil fertility. We also can use it as little stripes in between two parts of the crops. It's also important because here we have little insects which can help us to protect these vegetables from bad insects. So they kill the bad insects, and it helps us to have a good protection of our vegetables. And it's also very nice to see that in the landscape if there are some flowers. Okay, and here I think I haven't mentioned that we have chicken at our farm for egg production. And if we have a chicken, we also have a manure of the chicken. And here's a picture in the spring where we put the manure on this machinery to spread it, for example, in the wheat in the spring. So yeah, this is a organic fertilizer which has a lot of power for the plants. It's full of nitrogen and phosphorus, for example. Yeah, and if everything works well, we have the harvest in the summer. Yeah, here it's a very old harvester. Yeah, with yeah. Now I have a second video. This is the carrot harvest. The special machine. Maybe not so common. Here is a belt, and it pulls the carrots on the leaf out of the ground. And the leaves fall down and stay on the fields. Yeah, this is another harvest. And now I'd like to talk about the livestock. As I mentioned before, our chicken have a free range area. Yeah, here you can see trees which we planted outside in the free range areas, so that the chicken can hide in the shadow of the trees. It helps us that a lot of chicken go outside of the stable and don't stay inside all the time. We also have a winter garden of our stable, so maybe in winter it's snow and they can't go outside on the free range, but they have the winter garden, which is always open as well. And here they also have the contact, as I mentioned before, with the fresh air and the outside climate. And here on the right-hand side, you can see the stable from inside. Yeah, this is the first day when the chicken came into the stable, so maybe it looks a little bit as too much chicken on the floor. Usually they are inside of this voliere. It's a tree where they can have the food and the water, and here behind this red curtains they lay their eggs, and the eggs roll down on a belt, and the belt goes to the middle of the stable where we collect them. And yeah, we also have yeah, quite a big stable. We have 12,000 chicken. So it's not maybe like in the maybe you thought we only have 10 or 20 chicken. So we live from the chicken. We earn money, but we tried that they have next to more space in the stable, also a nice life outside. Okay, and now I'd like to talk about the social component of organic farming, which is also very nice because yeah, I think we have more connection between the farmers in these associations, for example. Yeah, for example, on the right-hand side, there was a field day at our farm where we looked for rainworms on our soil. This was on the clover grass where we found lots of rainworms in the soil, and this was a nice event. As well as this event, you can see the sugar beets in the summer. This was an event where we looked which breed of the sugar beets is the best one, and yeah, the talking to other farmers, I think it's very helpful to know new things, and yeah, it's a nice social component. Okay, so I think I talked enough so far. Thank you for your attention. To start the discussion, I have two questions to you. The first one is, how does the organic farming look in your country? And the second one is, do you buy organic food, and how do you know it is organic? Yeah, thank you for your attention. And by the way, these are my sheep. This is only a hobby. I like the sheep in the garden.